Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight? Do you feel like you're constantly starting over with your nutrition and fitness? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse, and I too have been there. At the age of 44, I decided I was done with being stuck in the vicious diet cycle. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best Formula for women who are ready to do things differently. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, get your energy back, build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good, then you're in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's build your formula for feeling your best. Hey guys, I've been trying to record this episode and my phone keeps ringing and dinging, so I just turned everything on Do Not Disturb so that I can focus on you. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me, those of you that take time to press play and listen to these episodes. And I also want to say thank you because I don't know if it was one person or multiple people, or maybe the podcast ended up on some sort of search bar or recommended channel on, one of the podcast platforms, but I've had a huge influx of listeners, even though I haven't been as consistent in, publishing these podcasts over the past month or so. So if you are someone that shared it or did something like that, thank you so much because it means a lot to me. And somehow this podcast kind of blew up over the past couple of weeks. So that is really, really cool to see. And of course, I know that there's so many of you that come back every time there's a new episode and listen. And I appreciate you so much. And part of my, I don't know if I want to say guilt or, normally I publish an episode every Monday morning at 5 a.m. And I've been doing that for, almost 2 years. And over the past couple months, that has shifted a bit. And I've kind of just been publishing episodes, I guess I'll say when I feel like it, because that's kind of what it feels like. It's just, okay, I have the time to sit down and do this. And that is this idea because I had a lot of guilt over not having an episode every Monday at 5 a.m. And that was kind of the jumping off point for me coming on here and sharing with you some of my thoughts that we're going to talk about on this episode. So the theme of this episode, I guess, is sort of about flexibility, learning when to take a break and when to push hard. I'm going to share with you a word that I have decided does not belong in my vocabulary anymore, or if I do use this word, it is something that is used in a very temporary way. And I'll share with you how I'm handling planning in a flexible way right now, because that is what my life requires. So, over the past couple months, there have been quite a few things going on, in my family, my personal life, and it has required my time and attention. And always, I've been very transparent from the very beginning that my family will always come first, followed by my clients, and then, of course, my free content. This podcast is free content that I create. That is something that, goes to the lower end of the list as much as I love making my podcast. So over the past couple of months, family has been top priority. And then taking care of my clients, making sure that they are feeling 100% supported. And I love my clients, and I'm not going to, not pour into them and instead pour into a free podcast. And my family life has really needed a lot of support. There's just been a lot going on, and I feel weird kind of sharing this because I don't like it when people do, like they call it vague posting, where someone's like, oh my God, everything's horrible and whatever. And then they don't share the details. That's not what I'm saying. I would prefer to share. I am fully confident that everything is going to be okay. But right now we are in this middle space of trying to work towards everything being okay. And I don't think that emotionally I can talk about, the situation without getting emotional. And I don't want to do that on this podcast. So we are working towards everything being okay. I believe everything's going to be okay. But there have been logistical reasons, time, energy, that I have been unable to show up for anything beyond the absolute essentials when it comes to my business. And I think that the one reason that I started this podcast is because I feel a lot of the messaging in the health and wellness space, the fitness, nutrition space, is very toxic. And the overriding message that I feel is the most harmful is this idea that if we don't do things perfectly, if we don't follow that checklist perfectly, if we don't follow these eating rules perfectly and this diet perfectly, then it means you are a failure. And I know that that is the messaging out there because I have lived it. I have been that person feeling like, oh my gosh, I got a hamburger and French fries. I am a failure. I don't deserve to lose the weight, and this is going to ruin everything. And just this very all or nothing perspective. And if you are living your life and the only thing you have to do in life is work out and follow a rigid nutrition plan, then great if that's what you want to do. But the rest of us live in a world where we have partners, we have children, we have jobs, we have parents, we have friends, we have, maybe our own health concerns, maybe there's financial concerns. And being concerned and obsessed with what we're eating and trying to be, quote, perfect on a daily basis is completely unattainable and unrealistic. And even when you are someone who is very passionate and mindful and excited to make sure that you're nourishing your body properly, that the food that you're eating is supporting your goals and the workouts that you're doing are supporting your goals, and you're trying to live your life in a way that's going to make you feel really great today and also really great in 20 years, that doesn't mean that you need to be 100% on point on all the time. And I am one of those people that I am really passionate about eating foods that fuel my body. And I love working out and I love being active and I love doing all those things. And there are periods of time where I'm more invested and I'm more, quote, dialed in, which really all it means is you're moving these tasks, these routines, these habits, you're just moving them up in your, priorities list. And sometimes what I want to say is I'm giving you permission that sometimes those things can kind of go a little bit further down the ladder on your priorities, and it doesn't mean that you are not being healthy. It doesn't mean that you are immediately going to gain 10 pounds. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. and recognizing and deciding within ourselves on, almost a daily basis, but more of like a seasonal basis, say you are moving. That's a lot of work. If you have moved, then you understand that this is an acute situation where you might not be able to eat the way you prefer to eat all the time. You may not be able to get workouts in, and there's going to be a transition on both ends of moving where you're leaving and you're arriving, and you're going to have to figure things out, especially when you are in the new situation. And when you are coming from a rigid mindset where you believe you're a failure if you're not following things a certain way, then that can really lead to a lot of struggles, feeling down about yourself. And ultimately, I think the worst part of that way of thinking is that often it just goes completely to the other side of the coin, and you start this downward spiral of habits that just lead you back to feeling crappy the way you used to. So what I wanted to share here is this idea of, taking a break, dialing things back, because what I'm going to share with you, with the season that I'm in, I am literally taking things on a day-to-day basis. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. Most of that is personal in terms of if I haven't slept well, I really don't agree with this idea that if you are exhausted, you should still do a workout. I personally, each morning I wake up today, even though I slept great, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do a 2.5, 3 mile walk instead of doing a workout. Yesterday, I did a workout and I walked. But what I used to do is at the beginning of the week, look at my week. Well, I would look at on Fridays, I'm planning for the next week, and I would map out my whole week and know exactly when I'm getting my workouts in, what workouts I'm doing. Am I going on a 1 mile walk, or am I going on a 2 mile walk? Am I walking with a friend? I would have everything just very mapped out and planned. And sometimes when you're in a season where you can't really predict everything that's going on in your life, it is a waste of time and energy to try to plan everything ahead of time. It's like you put all this effort in, and then the day comes and you realize, oh, I got to drive this person here. I got to be at this appointment. And you didn't know those things existed the week before. And it was just really a waste to try and do that. So where I'm coming from is, the summer and the spring, it was very consistent for strength training workouts per week. I haven't really been tracking my food for quite a while. I am solidly in maintenance. I did do a surplus and put on 5 pounds because after 2.5 years of strength training, really, I realized something I've kind of known about myself for a long time, but I don't gain muscle easily at all. And I am one of those people who needs extra protein, extra calories, and to work out really hard to build muscle. So I gained about 5 pounds probably the beginning of last year, and then I've just maintained it. I haven't entered another fat loss phase. I was intending to start a fat loss phase after Labor Day this year, but life had other plans. I can't even imagine if I had put that stress on myself to do that. Logistically, it just would have been very difficult. So I have made the decision. I'm staying in maintenance, which is where I've been. I mean, it's so funny when you find happiness in maintenance, the scale might fluctuate 1 to 2 pounds, but it's literally a straight line for me. I know what I need to eat. I know, my activity level that feels good, and my weight has stayed completely consistent for months and months and months now since I gained, the initial 5 pounds, probably over about a 3-month period. And I don't want to gain any more weight. I definitely want to stay in maintenance. I can still try to build muscle in maintenance, but ultimately, I do want to do a fat loss phase because I know that I've built a lot of muscle and I feel so strong, especially now that my ankle is fully healed. But I still have some mobility issues as far as lower body workouts. So I'm still working on the lower body workouts, but I am a million times better than I was since breaking my ankle in November of 2022. So that's just kind of where I don't think I've shared the details of that, but I did the surplus, gained 5 pounds, built muscle, got a lot stronger. And now I've just been maintenance. Maybe since June, I've been in maintenance where I am right now. I'm not tracking my food at all. I know what to eat. It's hard to explain. When you track as long as I did and as much as I did, you get to a point where you just don't need to do that anymore. I will go back into tracking for sure when I enter my fat loss phase, because you do have to track if you are specifically working towards a goal. But right now I am hanging out. I am in maintenance. I am doing the best I can with workouts. I also had an issue a couple weeks ago. I have scoliosis, and I have this one area in my upper back that every once in a while, especially when I get stressed out, it spasms. So I had about a week where I really had to let that rest, and I was so frustrated. But I want you to remember a couple very important things when you are working towards building muscle and losing fat. Now, number one, it takes weeks to lose the muscle that you've built. Muscle takes a long time to build, and muscle also takes a long time to fade away. Also, your daily activity level, which often many of us, count our steps to see what that is. But also, if you ride a bike or do spin class, that's all contributing. But your daily activity level is so much more important to your overall energy balance and cardiovascular health than, I would rather see you get 8 to 10K steps per day than kill yourself doing, a 1-hour HIIT workout every day. If you do that HIIT workout and then you're sitting at a desk all day for, the other 15 hours of your day, that's not great for your heart. And being active, just think back to more traditional ways of moving your body where, we didn't have cars, or, people worked on farms and stuff like that, where you're creating a need for energy. Your body is burning off the calories that you're eating, and you're just having better equilibrium with that. So, getting a workout in is important, especially if we want to grow or maintain our muscles. But if you need to take 2-3 weeks off from workouts for some reason, or you need to decrease. In my situation, I've had to decrease my workouts, and I've been doing more like 2 to 3 workouts per week rather than a solid 4. And, I've also not been following an exact, I used to do 2 lower body and 2 upper body. I've kind of just been letting myself do what I feel like doing, because I understand that doing something is better than nothing. It's good for me physically, mentally, and just doing a workout because it's the next planned workout on the calendar, and maybe I don't really feel excited to do it. It's better to do something I enjoy rather than forcing myself to do something just because that's what's on, the plan. So it's really been, I think if there's a word I could use to describe it, it's just been so much flexibility. And the old version of me would have felt like a failure during a season like this and would have stopped doing everything. I would have just, completely backed away from the habits in so many ways. And it's such a good feeling, I do a workout and I feel good about it and I want to do it, and it's a stress decrease for me. But if I haven't slept well, if, I've had stress, anxiety, I know that it's better for me to just go for a walk and not stress my body like that. I actually use the Athletic app, and you wake up every morning and you get a little report. And my recovery for a few days there, and basically it tells you how well you recovered and how ready you are to exert yourself and do a strenuous activity. And my numbers were so low, like it's like red, orange, green. And I want to be, red, yellow, green. I want to be in the green, recovered at least 60% before I'm going to do a strength training workout. And I found it very interesting to see how the numbers on that app correlate to how I'm really feeling in life. And basically, I've talked about it on here, but it's an app. You wear your Apple Watch to bed. It tracks your sleep throughout the day. It tracks everything. You just wear it basically 24 hours and it gives you really good information. I found it really helpful to help me know if I'm getting sick. We found it really helpful with my husband's heart health, the Apple Watch in general. I am personally now a believer that every adult should wear an Apple Watch and even do it in the AFib setting for a period of time, because you have so many things going on that the Apple Watch can actually detect, and you could report to your doctor and then get more testing on. But using these tools in a way that can support, yes, today would be a great day to really exert myself and do a strenuous workout. But today, I'm not feeling great. And also, my watch is telling me that it's really funny. It'll be like, today would be a great day for an outdoor walk and some yoga. So it encourages you to be active, but at a level that is matching the data that it's analyzing. So it's like really cool. And I like that I've had that to kind of support my own feelings. Not to say that there are some days where it's like, yeah, you could go do a workout and just, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that today. But I feel like it always matches when I'm feeling run down and stressed and fatigued. So if you are in a season where something has come up for you, like I said, moving, or maybe you're starting a new job, or maybe you're starting to babysit for, your grandchild or something, and you don't really know what the next couple weeks has in store for you, I would honestly just say take things one day at a time. Set your intention the night before. And okay, if tomorrow looks good, then we're going to do a workout at 6 a.m. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to, track our food and do all these things. But if for some reason it doesn't work out, then that's okay. We will figure something else out. And bottom line, I just encourage you to try to move as much as possible. And I'm saying that as someone who had, my ankle was broken in 3 places. I was, very inactive for many months. And obviously that wasn't something that I could do. So instead I focused on the nutrition, but asking yourself, what can I do right now that's going to help me support and nourish my body and make me feel good, not make me feel guilty. And then that is leading us towards the word that I'm removing from my vocabulary. The word is non-negotiable. And for so long, that was a word that I would say, what are my non-negotiables today? What are my non-negotiables next week? And I was using the Full Focus Planner, and the idea is that you have these 3 non-negotiable goals every day, 3 non-negotiable goals every week. And I just kind of had this light bulb moment. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. And I told my friend, I have a friend, like we support each other. We talk to each other every day, support each other with our business stuff, with our personal stuff. And I just said to her, listen, I had this epiphany that I am not going to say that word anymore because it's stupid. Because guess what? Everything is negotiable. Everything should be flexible, because there is nothing that's more important than your health. And there is nothing that is more important than being there for family, and even understanding that non-negotiable taken on a micro basis. So, there are things that are going to be non-negotiable in life. It's non-negotiable in your life that you need to be active, that you should be working out. I mean, you should be doing some form of strength training. You should be eating a whole foods based balanced diet and leaving room for the more calorie dense, less nutritious foods that you really enjoy and make you happy. I mean, that's a non-negotiable way to live your life, but you don't necessarily need to apply that every single day of your life. And a lot of times when we're doing these fitness and nutrition programs, it's all non-negotiable. If you want to be successful, you got to do this, you got to do that. And if you miss a day, well, you're a failure. And, you got to make up for it by doing a double workout or eating less food or something. And it's just this very over catastrophized thinking, when the reality is, if you have one day where, you go over on your calories, maybe you eat some foods that are not really going to help you hit your protein and fiber and calorie goals, it's not the end of the world. What matters most is what you do most of the time. And my hope for myself is that we're going to get through maybe November, December. Things are going to settle down. Things are going to get fixed. These are not things that are on our timeline. We are, waiting on the experts to help us move forward. And we cannot control all of these things. But when I know that these things are under control, then my goal is for January, where I'm then going to be super committed to a fat loss phase and really ramping things up. And I talked about this on previous episodes, like that mentality of sometimes we just got to sprint towards our goals. And that means tracking my food and getting my workouts in and being a little restrictive for a short amount of time, probably 8 to 12 weeks to reach my goal. And then I go back into my new maintenance. But it can be tricky if, number one, the expectation is that we are constantly living life in that sprint, in that perfection. And number two, if we don't recognize that it is negotiable and that success does not mean all or nothing. Success could be just getting one workout in this week. I've done one workout this week. Yeah, I've done one workout so far this week, and it's Thursday. I'm thinking I'm probably going to do one tomorrow. I'll probably do one Saturday. So maybe I'll get 3 in. But at the end of the day, what matters most is that I have spent most of my time being really consistent in my workouts, consistent in my nutrition. I'm still being consistent in my nutrition, which is being shown by the fact that the scale has not moved. And because we often think that success is only weight loss, also, you know what success is? Staying where you are and maintaining where you are. The only thing that I think is failure is if you start going in the direction that is going to lead to health problems and poor health outcome. But if you can at least maintain where you are until you're ready to do another sprint, that is also success, right? Sometimes standing still, is just what we need to do. Because, if you think about it, the energy that is required sometimes to just tread water is almost as much energy as is required to swim forward and move towards your goals. And it just depends what you want to use that energy towards. And it's totally okay to tread water here and there and just try to keep your head above water so that you don't drown. And I hope that, by me saying, I'm not going to use that word non-negotiable anymore, especially when it comes to those weekly, daily, monthly goals. And instead, it's about taking a holistic approach each day and just saying, what's going to be best for me? Now, I know it's not going to be best to go through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru, go and grab a bunch of ice cream treats at the grocery store, sit around all day and eat those and worry and not do anything productive, and then for lunch go through the McDonald's drive-through, and then dinner get pizza for takeout. No, 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 no. That is not at all what I'm saying. I think it's a lot more helpful if you go through the process of starting to build your formula for feeling your best, so that you have a foundation of healthy habits. You have a foundation of those foods that keep you full and satisfied and help you hit your protein and fiber goals, where you don't need to track your food as much as someone who is a beginner. Or again, someone with the all or nothing mentality that doesn't understand what maintenance looks like, or what not being on a diet looks like, because we should only be dieting for very short periods of time, but we are programmed to think we should be on a diet all the time. So instead, having that foundation of knowledge, not only about nutrition and fitness and how that all works, but having that knowledge about yourself, which is really what building your formula for feeling your best is all about. And I don't know where I would be if I was still in that old mindset. I think it's exhausting. I think that it has a very negative impact on our mental health to have that all in or all out mentality. And I think it's much healthier to recognize that it's totally okay to adjust those habits based on where we are in life. And as long as you are eating nutritious foods, moving your body, doing some strength training, doing your best to decrease your stress and anxiety and get some sleep, and you're not turning to things like alcohol or drugs to, get you through difficult times, then, it's going to be so much easier when things settle down to get back into the groove and start maybe working towards a specific goal or sprinting towards a goal. Everything is flexible. I was doing weekly check-in with one of my clients, and we were talking back and forth, and I suggested to her, based on what she was telling me about her concerns and the holidays coming up, maybe you could just do 3 weeks of a fat loss phase rotated with 1 week of maintenance, and then just, going back and forth, 3 weeks of fat loss, 1 week of maintenance, based on what she was telling me. And I wasn't sure if that's what she would want to do. And she, she was like, oh my gosh, that is the best idea. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do, because it's not about losing 20 pounds in 3 weeks. It's about understanding that you are always, always, always on a day-to-day basis, either putting a deposit in the direction you want to go, or you are putting a deposit in the direction you don't want to go with. You're withdrawing and you're moving in a negative direction. And some days are going to be positive, some days are going to be negative. But overall, you want to make sure that the direction you're going is where you want to go. It's not where you're being forced to go. You're not being a victim to circumstances. And you can totally, this is the thing. Once you learn how to eat, how to work out, what habits work for you, like I said to you, I am someone that I came to the realization, I just don't build muscle very easily. Compare that to my kid who just got back into working out. He went through the transition to starting college and figuring things out. And he was like, Mom, I finally figured out that 7 p.m. at night is the best time to go to the gym. I'm going 4 to 5 days a week. I'm doing Body Beast. He just watches it on his phone. He had only been working out for 3 weeks, and I'm looking and he's already built muscle. I mean, to be an 18-year-old boy is amazing. I wish I could come back in life as a teenage boy, because they have this amazing metabolism and ability to build muscle. But if I was to work out the same way for 3 weeks, honestly, you probably wouldn't even notice a difference. So understanding yourself and getting to know yourself is really the foundation of the Feel Your Best formula, because once you have that, no one can take it away from you. It is just, you understand things in this different way compared to when you're just out there following these cookie cutter plans, being all in or all out with your habits, constantly feeling stressed, constantly confused. I think confusion is the worst part, because when you understand what your Feel Your Best formula looks like, it builds your confidence. And that's why when you get off track or life hits you or you have to make adjustments, it's just like the thermostat that controls the temperature of your house. You can turn it up, turn it down, set it to auto. There's all these different ways that you can be in control. And so many fitness and nutrition programs out there just do not have control. So I hopefully, like I said, the theme of this was just, I want you to understand you always have flexibility. You don't always have to be 100% all in. Let go of the word non-negotiable and replace that with flexible. Understand there are going to be periods of time where it's a great time to run that sprint, go all in, work really hard towards a goal. And understand that it's just as important to learn how to maintain when you get to the end of that goal as it is to be successful when you are in that sprinting phase. And also, I hope me sharing with you that I am now just taking things on a day-to-day basis. I'm using the tools like the app on my Apple Watch, making sure that I'm honoring how I'm feeling as far as sleep and stress and stuff like that. And, you might follow fitness influencers on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and their biggest brag is that, oh, I still do all these things even when I'm on vacation or even when this is going on in my life. And I say that's great, that's fine, I'm happy for them. But I also want you to hear from me as someone who is a professional in this industry that I'm not on all the time. I am not tracking my food all the time. I am not, working to reach personal records with my lifting all the time. And that's okay to be that person too. My goal is in January to have a great sprint phase, and I'm really hoping that I'll be in a position to do that at that time. And if I'm not, again, it's all about flexibility. So remove the word non-negotiable from your vocabulary and embrace the flexibility and start diving in to build your formula for feeling your best. I do have a link if you're looking to get started and just need some motivation. I have my 10-minute motivation checklist. You can check that in the episode details. And I'm not going to make any promises that I'll be back here on Monday. I'm going to try to do at least one episode once a week. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I'll continue to give you life updates and be more detailed about things when I'm in a place where I can do that. But I really appreciate you tuning in. And thank you so much for those of you who share this podcast with others and help spread the word, because it's so important to me that, my goal is to be part of a voice of change and reason and rational approach to sustainable habits. And there aren't enough of us out there who are talking in this way. And that needs to change if we truly want to make an impact on the health of our nation and our communities. So thank you so much. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you enjoyed the information and discussion we had here today, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you're serious about making changes with your nutrition and fitness, then you definitely want to join my weekly newsletter list as well. You can find the link below and more information in the episode details. That's all for today, and we will see you back here next week for a new episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast.